Well, just to give you the gist, I found this article, and it just has guilty white guy written all over it.
He fucking... I want to kill him. Like, some of the shit he says...
Why? Because he's with a black woman and that disgusts you?
Yeah, I'm really against that sort of thing. You know, separate but equal, I always say.
That's what I say.
No, because he fucking says, like, dumb shit. Like, for example... in the days after the Michael Brown shooting, which, again, they haven't even figured out what fucking happened. And the new evidence is suggesting that this killing wasn't as unwarranted and unjust as people would like to believe. But we still don't really know what the fuck happened.
Actually, the evidence is strongly suggesting that not only were his hands not in the air, he was struggling reaching for the officer's gun. There's his blood is on the gun.
Yeah. Well, nobody cares about that, Christian. You're missing the point. The point is a white guy shot a black guy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so why don't you just pipe down fucking KKK Grand Wizard or whatever their fucking leader's name. What a gay organization they are.
They're Grand Wizard. I get to wear a red hat instead of a white one.
Fucking losers.
What a bunch of queers.
They really are. They should all be professional athletes.
That's probably their initiation. They have to queer off with the new guys.
But anyway, this fucking asshole, he says, in the days after the Michael Brown shooting, I wrote an essay titled, I Hope My Son Stays White, detailing my fears about what might happen to my biracial 3-year-old son if he grows up to have dark skin. Don't you already know what he's going to look like? Is he dark or is he not?
Yeah.
It's not like they go through this transformation period where they, they're either going to be white or they're going to be black. They're going to be mixed the whole time.
Yeah.
He's 3 now, he's mixed. When he's 16, he's going to continue to do so, just more.
Right. And I think what this guy fails to realize is even though he's an apologist piece of shit, he's probably a pretty good parent, the fact that he's actually concerned with his kid's well-being. So this kid's going to grow up and probably be an upstanding member of society that's going to probably dress nicely and talk nicely. And when he walks into a store or something, no one's going to think he's robbing the place because he's like, oh, he just seems like a nice kid. He's not coming in with a do-rag yelling. Screaming.
Wrong. Christian, that's not how it works. What happens is when you're a biracial citizen and you walk into a white establishment, they kill you. You immeditely.
No, see,
Christian, if you turn on the news even just once in your entire life, you would see this is happening every day, almost nonstop.
See, it's my fault because I thought most people... may pass judgment on people based off the content of their character and not just because they're half black and half white. It's my mistake.
Yeah,
really.
you're a real piece of shit.
Oh, that's good.
What the friggin' shit was that?
Oh my God, it's our boss saying cut down on the salty talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry, officer.
It's saying it's
Officer Darren Wilson.
Tell Christian to stop disagreeing with black people. It's this guy.
Yeah, he's gonna get us all fired.
All right, so he made a list with 7 things.
7 things. And I like how you refer to him as an apologist piece of shit, because one thing I can't get over with this new wave of what would you call it, civil rights. It's like a new wave of civil rights movement.
Yeah, this progressive nonsense.
Yeah. And there's so many white people who feel like they need to feel guilty for the actions of someone else. And I've said this before, and God damn it, I'll say it again. I wasn't put on this planet to pay for another man's sins. I have done nothing wrong. I don't feel sorry for nobody.
Listen, Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine.
Yep.
Okay?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Who's also probably... I hate when people say, oh, Jesus was probably black. No, he was probably Middle fucking Eastern. Do you not even know where Israel is?
Have you looked at a map lately,
Why don't you look at
dickhead?
a map, faggot?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this day and age, I don't think, white people could be nicer to minorities more than they are today.
I'll tell you the most racist thing about me is I go out of my way to be more polite and more friendly to black people, because I feel in my own little way that if they meet more, like, because there are fucking racists out there. There are bad white people, and nobody's trying to say that. But I feel like if black people meet more just regular ass white people like me,
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and I just I feel like just incrementally you can change that warped perception that we're all these fucking hate mongering, racist pieces of shit. So like I go out of my way to just be a little bit extra friendly and a little bit more polite when I'm talking to a black guy or a chick or whatever.
And you know what's funny? I bet you they're doing the same...
And that's racist.
They're doing the same thing. They probably see you as a white guy, and they're like, well, I'm going to show him that I'm not a scumbag, and I'm going to be kind of... I mean, not that they are scumbags, but they're going to like act like extra, like, I'm cool, you know? Because I feel
it's
like...
cool. It's cool.
It's cool.
Don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot.
I would start shooting
if
immediately.
anyone says that to me, I'm shooting at them.
I will never... I'll unload the whole clip and put in another one.
Yeah, an extra bullet per lover. No, but I feel like that warped perception is both ways. Like,
absolutely.
Like we read on the internet that black people think all white people are racist, and we sort of think like, do all black people think that? Where most black people probably like, no, I know tons of white people, and I know none of them are racist.
Yeah, I don't like them, but they're fine.
Most white people are pretty just average, moderates people. Like all the most black people I know, and then black people are probably thinking to themselves, all white people think that we're
thugs or whatever.
Oh no, but they think we think they're racist.
It's a real mind game.
It is
a real twist.
Mind control.
So that's my small contribution to civil rights is I just try to be a little bit nicer to black people because I don't like people in general. I'm not a very social person, but I put myself in an uncomfortable situation just to, like I said, I just feel like that little bit every time, maybe you could change someone's perspective just a little bit,
It probably can. I mean, I've been that person before, like,
what do you mean?
Where, you think something is a certain way about somebody or some group or something, and then you meet someone part of that group or that person and they're not like that, and you think...
Do you have a specific example, or you're just talking in general?
I'm just talking in general, just certain experiences,
right?
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
So what the hell are we talking about?
We're basically talking about how this asshole, this apologist piece of shit, is speaking for all white people and making it seem like black people have it a certain way, where it's probably not the case for a lot of black people, and a lot of white people don't feel this way either.
Yeah.
So his number one, the things he can do that his black son can't is he can walk through a store without being followed.
Wrong.
And I've worked in these stores he's talked about. You might have heard of them. These sellers of goods. And not only is this not true, I've seen the exact opposite be the case, because unfortunately, during my tenure at ShopRite, I was exposed to, I don't want to say a lot, but a fair amount of not cool black people. Black people that didn't behave in any kind of good way, and white people too. But, I mean, we had this one family that notoriously they came they were in the store all the time, and their kids would run around and act like little dickheads.
Act a fool,
I'd say. They would act like little bastards the whole time they were in. The mother paid no attention. The father, I'm pretty sure, was in jail. Sorry, I know that's like a stereotype, but that was the situation. I knew these people personally. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty, because I knew these people. Like I said, they were in the store all the time. I knew them, and I'm pretty sure that the husband was in jail. And trust me, they weren't getting treated any differently. In fact, they were allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted, and it drove me fucking nuts.
Because people were afraid to say anything, because then they'd be accused of being racist.
Yeah. Really?
That's probably exactly it.
So,
but you know what's funny nowadays with this whole like walk through a store and people, like, I've heard stories about black people freaking out, like saying an employee was following them when they really weren't. Like, when I'm working and I see a black person, if I'm in like their general vicinity,
just run away.
I think to myself, man, did this person? I actually think, I wonder if this person is going to accuse me of following them, assuming they're stealing.
So you walk up to them like, "Hey, what's up, G?
Hey, what's up?
We cool?
What's up, my brother?" The
just
point
to
is,
show them that you're cool.
the point is nothing ever happens. They don't notice me.
Yeah.
I think they think I'm following them, and then nothing happens. I walk by.
And I end up following them around just to make sure
that
they don't think that.
And then I see them stealing, and I knew I was right the whole time.
I knew what they were like.
Yeah, but I don't think that's really true a lot of the times. In my life, because I would say it's more true of kids in general. Like, I've been a victim of that as a white kid with two other white kids. When I was younger, I was probably like 12 years old. I went into a cheese and hot sauce store, which is a weird combination.
Sure is.
But
where the hell is this cheese and hot sauce store?
it was in Smithville, New Jersey, but I don't think it's there anymore.
I don't know where the fuck that is.
It's a great little sleepy town. Let me tell you something.
Is it? Well, why don't you just put that story to sleep and get back on topic?
All right. Well, you asked. I went in there with Bill and my friend, and my friend was actually like, they have really good hot sauce at this store, this certain kind that I like, and I'm going to buy some.
Yeah.
So we go in the store, and it's like two little rooms, and the one room has the owner.
Cheese, and the other one has the hot sauce.
Yeah, you're right, actually. And the guy where the register was, the owner, I guess, was in the cheese section. And we walk in, he's like, "Hi, hey, how you doing? You need help find anything?" And we're like, "Nah, just looking." And we go into the hot sauce section, and my friend is looking for the kind of, the certain
What kind?
I don't know. It was just hot sauce. Habanero.
Wow, that sounds authentic.
Yeah, authentic spicy-oso, I think. And while he's looking, the guy comes in. He says, "Hey, you're not allowed in here without a parent."
Yeah.
And he forced us to leave the store. Three white kids, not dressed suspicious. We didn't have giant
Did you show him your
on.
privilege cards?
I should have. I forgot it.
You should be like, no, sir. Not today.
Oh,
not with
I'm
this
very sorry.
Very sorry.
He gives
Here's some free hot sauce.
He gives us
You
a
should have
gift basket.
slapped it on your hand like that.
Stick it between his teeth.
What was he, David Letterman?
Yeah. So he assumed just because we were kids, upstanding white kids, that
perfect angels,
we were going to steal something from his store, which we weren't. Not only did we weren't going to steal anything, he lost out on making some money because the person I was with was going to buy something.
Yeah.
So the only experience I've ever had of seeing this or being a part of it was that situation. I've never seen a black kid followed or kicked out of a store, but I, as a white guy, have been kicked out of a store before for being a kid.
Yeah, and heritages, a lot of those have a minor limit. It is like a big thing with kids, and honestly, I understand why.
They steal.
They steal, and if they're not stealing, they're probably messing shit up. They're just rambunctious little scamps.
They come in, they're like loitering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them, but yeah, I don't think that's, I find it hard to believe that this shit still exists because I've said this before as well. I feel like this is a dying problem. As old people die, I feel like our generation is just so. We don't give a shit about anything, especially not race.
Right. But on the other hand...
For the most part.
But on the other hand, now this could be the truth or it could be just how the media presents it to us. But it seems, looking at statistics and news stories and stuff, it seems most of the people that are stealing from stores are black people.
Yeah.
So, I can walk through a store without being followed, but, I mean, there's a reason. It appears that white people have... in general, a history of not really stealing that much.
Just like if you see a white guy at a playground with no kid attached to him, you automatically get suspicious. Right. Everybody's on high alert because that guy is probably going to fuck somebody's kid.
Exactly.
Well, we have to deal with that. I can't go to a playground.
We have
because I'm 24 too. And I'm white and I'm not particularly good looking.
No, you're
and I
not.
Have a beard.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I can't go to a playground. No,
that's a good point.
And I'm okay with that.
If some lady was at a park with her kid and she saw another mom there with her kid, and there's only two kids, and then there's just some guy sitting on a bench
some
looking
drifter.
Yeah. You're going to think
newspaper.
That guy is probably a pervert or something like that. And just based off him just being there and the stereotype that comes along with that. Now, maybe most of the time, no one's doing anything. He's probably just sitting there thinking about fucking those kids, but he's not going to do it.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no crime.
Yes on that.
Yeah, seriously.
But
thinking about kid fucking 2014.
Yeah. .com.
.com.
But I mean, if you're the only person working in a store and three black kids walk in and you like, I just saw on the news yesterday some black kid stole something from a convenience store similar to this one. You're going to think to yourself, I wonder if these are doing it. And you're probably going to pay a little bit more attention because that's
And that's the media.
Apparently, the reality.
That's the media's fault. That's not white people's fault.
No,
white people aren't the only people in the media biz.
Yeah,
there's black people in there.
Yes,
they're allowed for some reason.
All right, number 2. Something I can do that my black son can't is I can succeed without it being
attributed to my race. There you go.
Thank you. I don't know why I was having so much trouble with that. When my wife, who is black, received her acceptance letter from Boston College, a peer told her she must have gotten in due to affirmative action, effectively ruining the experience of receiving the letter. When I succeed, people assume I've earned it. Now, that last line, see, he could have just left it there. That little last part ruined his argument. Yeah. Every time a white person gets something, they attribute it to privilege.
Yeah, it's 100% false.
So nobody apparently thinks that white people have earned shit because they think everything was handed to them because they're not, held down by the man. Yeah, because we are the man.
Yeah, you hear that the word privilege, like. Whoever owns the word privilege, whoever has stock in the word privilege must love right now because that word gets thrown around so much. It's like fucking what's that horrible chick that was in all those movies like 10 years ago? Tara Reid.
She was in Sharknado 1 and 2, buddy. Those are really popular.
You know what I mean? Like so fucking. I don't even know where I was going with that. Why were we Tara Reid? Oh yeah, that word gets thrown around like Tara Reid did 10 years ago. That's where I was going with that. Because I feel like that's she peaked and then nobody's heard from her since.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah,
now.
We're back on track.
Long way to go.
The comedy train took a little detour.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really. I mean, but here's the fact of the matter. What I just said is that people attribute everything white people do is to privilege. Well. Affirmative action is a real thing, and I think it's bullshit. Yeah. And if they took it away, then nobody would have that problem. Then only the best people would be accepted to things or get jobs and stuff.
No, only the people who are white with all that privilege, in their handbag.
I'm getting everything wrong tonight.
You are just not good. See, it's because you're white. You can't be right about anything.
I was too privileged to read a book.
You're too privileged to even have an opinion.
Yeah. So sorry.
You're so out of touch with reality, the struggle of the everyday working black man.
You don't get it.
You don't get. Oh, that's another part of this thing that really pisses me the fuck off. This whole, listen, you're not black, so you don't understand. It's like, bitch, I'm also not an electron, but for some reason I managed to become an electrical engineer. Okay, you don't need to be something to understand what goes on.
Yeah, I don't think that excuse.
Like, I've never been a chair, but I've never fallen through the bottom of one. Okay, I know how shit works.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You're just being a cunt. You just don't want to. They just they just look for a way out of the argument where they win, and they end the argument without your consent. They just want like an out. Like, you don't understand. You're not black, so therefore argument over. You're wrong. I'm right.
In our game
Let's
show,
move on.
That should be another thing you're not allowed to do. You can't say any red flag words. And you also can't say you're not this thing, therefore you don't get it. That ends the argument for you, and you.
That's lose. A load of fucking baloney.
Yeah. How about this one? Something that a white guy can do that his black son can is that I learned about my ancestors' history in school. I can tell you all about Louis the 14th, Socrates.
I think it's pronounced Louis.
Shut up. Socrates and the Magna Carta, but I always wondered when we would finally learn about African history beyond pharaohs and pyramids, the subject never came up. Well, let me tell you why. Because it's about the history of like leading up to America and things like that, and it started in the West, and the only black history is that they were enslaved, and you learn about that. So I don't know what to tell you.
There really wasn't any history before that.
But it is true. The subject never does come up. What is there to know about? The countries are in the same state they were.
That's what I mean. I mean, it all depends where you can go back to the wars and shit was happening, but it really had no. It's not relevant to American history
or in history in general. I mean, what has it contributed? Think about it. All like the inventions and all the philosophers and stuff, they were all from Europe, and then people
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Africa comes into play with all the Europeans coming in and bleeding them dry, and enslaving the people and taking the blood diamonds and stuff like that. Really, that's the history. I mean, what else was happening there? It's tribal. It still is.
Mm-hmm. Well, Christian, you just drinking the Kool-Aid.
I guess I am.
They just spoon feed it to you, and you accept it as truth, just because airplanes, the internet, cars. What about peanut butter, Christian? What about that?
George Washington Carver.
Black guy.
A black guy invented a traffic light and a gas mask.
That's a pretty good invention.
Those are two great inventions.
Yeah, see, Christian, you just don't understand. Black people are better than white people.
Oh yeah,
You're a dummy.
That's true.
He's a big dummy.
You know what? You know what a white guy can do that his black son can't?
What's that, Christian?
He can lose his temper in traffic. Once, an acquaintance who got in a confrontation while driving told me how scared she was of the other driver, describing him as a big black guy. When I get heated, no one attributes it to my race.
But what if it was a big black guy?
Yeah, but what if it was a big white guy? Wouldn't she be scared?
Or
also?
a big Hawaiian.
Or a big Hawaiian guy. or a big Mexican guy.
Yeah, why is that? It's just an adjective.
He makes a point saying it typically. Do you ever find yourself telling a story that does involve a black guy, and you always seem to say it was some black dude. Some black dude walks in whenever it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but that's because it's an entropy. There's a lot of entropy in that encounter. We live in a white town. Most of the people we interact with on a day-to-day basis are white people. It's just how it is. It wasn't my choice. I didn't tell all the black people that they weren't allowed in. But
which they aren't.
They're not. And don't let me fucking catch them either. No, but
I'll run you out of town, boy.
I just don't live in a black neighborhood. So when a black guy, it's because if you said a white guy walks in, they'd be like, okay, yeah. Just like the other 70 that were right behind him. Yeah. But if a black guy walked in the room, it's like, oh shit, this is the only black guy I've seen today. What's up, black guy?
That's a good point, because if it was the other way around, if someone in Camden, which is mostly black people, had an encounter with a white guy, they'd be like, oh, some white guy. They would do the same thing. It's just like
because it's different. It's unique. It's something. It's like seasoning. You got all this chicken, but really you throw a little pepper on the top. It's fucking seasoning.
Yeah,
and it's black pepper.
It's seasoning for the story.
Not as good as white pepper.
It's not good as white meat chicken, but it needs to be in there a little bit.
You ever notice that white pepper typically has just way more opportunities?
Actually, that's not true at all. When have you ever? I don't even know if I've ever had white pepper.
Is that even real?
Why are people suppressing the white pepper industry?
I don't think it is.
I don't think there is white pepper.
I've heard of black pepper and red pepper. All of the blacks and the redskins, they're represented in the pepper world.
That is true.
We need to take over the pepper industry.
We need to make white pepper.
Well, more importantly, don't you love the fact that we can loiter in wealthy neighborhoods? No one has ever called the cops on me to report a suspicious person. My wife, who, as he mentioned earlier, is black, can't say the same.
What are you loitering in wealthy neighborhoods for anyway?
That is a good question. Why you shouldn't be loitering in anybody's neighborhood? That's just rude.
Who loiters? Why are
you and your wife loitering?
But when do you? I can't think of one time when I was a kid, I was hanging out in some random neighborhood. I hung out in my neighborhood. When were you ever? If you're
loitered at Taco Bell a lot
we used to loiter.
And I bet you they didn't like it either.
No, they certainly didn't. And we were confined to the upper level. There was like the main level where all the main parking was in the drive-thru in the Taco Bell, and then there's like another level of parking, and that's where we had to hang out.
Really, they banned you?
Yeah, no, because if we were skateboarding and shit down there, they would tell us to get the fuck out and go up to the upper level. Yeah, and we were all white.
Yeah. Nobody likes loitering kids anywhere.
Yeah, this is such a dickhead.
And this is something maybe we don't get it because we're not black. Because I've never heard of this happening before. I've heard of it happening like we just said, like at Taco Bell or I've seen white kids loitering at the mall, get in trouble by like security.
Oh yeah, all those fucking flippy hair mall rats.
Yeah, on Friday nights and stuff.
Yeah, they get harassed by people. Yeah. They get kicked the fuck out.
I think it all kind of has to do with, your appearance rather than just your race and your demeanor. Like if you're a bunch of like tight pants, weird haircutted kids just hanging out on a bench at the mall on a Friday night, you're probably going to get some shit because
Yeah.
what are you doing just hanging out there? But if you're a bunch of black kids wearing like suits and ties walking down the street, I don't think anyone's going to think anything of it.
Nah.
You know, I think it has to do with like your appearance and what exactly you're doing more than just your, you know, skin tone.
Well, that may be the case, Christian, but let me ask you this. Can you, you as a white man, you can complain about racism, but his son who's 3 can't. And it's not because he's 3.
He can barely talk.
It's not because he doesn't know what racism is.
Yeah. And this one, might be the most false one of the whole list yet.
Yeah.
I can complain about racism when I point out that black people are incarcerated at alarming rates or largely forced to send their children to underperforming schools or face systematic discrimination when searching for jobs and housing. No one accuses me of playing the race card. First of all those points are nonsense. Let's start at incarcerated at alarming rates. Sure, usually when they're convicted of committing a crime.
Yes, I would say the majority of black people that are incarcerated probably did something wrong and they're guilty of whatever they're charged.
All right. Number 2, largely forced to send their children to underperforming schools.
True, but you know what?
Isn't that more of a town thing? Like you can't just go and send your kid to any school, right?
I mean, well, yeah, and another thing too, it's not the school's fault a lot of times. Like my old neighbor used to work for the Camden school system, and they'd pump so much money into it, but when none of the kids were fucking showing up, that's why they're underperforming. They had the best shit, but the kids weren't there because they had shitty home lives and they were living in shitty neighborhoods. So you can't blame that on the school. Well, I'm getting sent to an underperforming school. Well, that's because you know everyone in your neighborhood is underperforming, not the school.
Yeah. What's the next one? Face systematic discrimination when searching for jobs and housing. Just a couple minutes ago, you were talking about how your wife got into Boston College and she was accused of affirmative action. Now you're taking it back and going in the other direction. Which way is it, sir?
What's the opposite of discrimination? Because that's what affirmative action is.
It's called white privilege.
They face systematic white privilege when searching for jobs because, I mean, it's not even like a conspiracy theory. It's a real thing. If you're as a white guy are up against a black guy and you have the same exact qualifications, if they have a quota to meet of black people, that guy's going to get the job. And even if he's a little less qualified than you as a white guy, he still might get it.
Yeah.
I've said this before. It's true. It's not like a crazy thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, and then he goes on and he says jobs and housing. Jeff, you've worked cleaning out Section 8 housing.
Yes.
Are black people having problems finding cheap housing?
Not at all.
No, it's readily available. I know people that I used to work with at ShopRite. African American female, couple kids, no dad or no father around, not to be part of the family. She paid $25 a month in rent because she couldn't afford anything more.
I wonder I would love to ask this guy what's the deal with that? Why are there so many fatherless children in black neighborhoods? What does that have to do with white people? What exactly have white people done in that situation? Because it seems that there's a lot of not only fatherless but parentless, where there's kids living with their grandparents, and stuff like. Explain that. Whose fault is that?
I think that happens. I think that happens in both communities and in all communities. I mean, if you're, a lot of these people that they grow up fatherless, their parents are drug addicts or criminals, and that could be anybody. That's not a white, black, or anything thing.
White, black, or purple.
Or purple even,
Yeah.
Those really dark black people.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no one accuses me of playing the race card. Yeah, but if you complain about racism in the opposite direction, if you're agreeing with black people, of course they're not going to call you out on it. But the minute you start meeting their argument with some counterpoints,
you're fired.
Yeah, first of all, you're fucking fired, dickhead. And second of all, you are called a bigot. You are immediately just torn to shreds on these fucking...
that point is just completely wrong. Like, I as a white guy can complain it. No, especially now, and this is a new article, in this culture we live in right now, white people cannot complain about that kind of stuff.
You can't talk about... Unless you're agreeing. Like I said, if you're agreeing, they love you. It's just like all the white people that jump on Bill Cosby's dick because he's telling kids to pull up their pants. And I agree with him on a lot of his points, but I think also part of it is he's a crotchety old man. He's like 90 years old at this point. Yeah. So So you gotta pull up your pants, God damn it, you know what I mean?
Dang.
But I think, I hate when black people, they talk, like that Hannibal Buress, he did a bit about how Bill Cosby's a fucking rapist. Did we talk about that last week?
Rapist?
I don't think so, but yeah.
You said rapist or
Yeah, he's been accused of sexual misconduct 13 times, and he's never been convicted of shit. Yeah. But that was basically the crux of the joke, is that he's been outspoken, and he wants to see change in the black community. He's like, pull up your pants, stop talking like I be this, I be that, and like I said, I agree with a lot of his points. I think it's about bringing yourself up.
And the thing is, which leads us to our next little part. Our real quick, our last thing is I can count on being met on my own terms. I don't even know what he's talking about there.
If I'm being treated poorly, I don't stop and think about whether it's due to my race, but unless we somehow make a giant leap forward, my son will always have to wonder. Recently, I became a father for the second time. My daughter, only 3 months old, will grow up to face many of the same challenges as my son, on top of the extra ones that come. This guy is just an apologist across the fucking board.
Then give all your money to black people. Then.
Oh my god, I want to fucking murder this guy. You know what? You did a social service. You married a black chick, sir. Yeah. Great. You're a real bleeding heart.
That's your contribution.
You really took one for the team. Yeah. You fucking martyr prick. I hope this guy gets killed.
He probably doesn't even like his wife. He just was so desperate to be accepted by black people that he's like, I'm gonna just marry this bitch.
That's what I mean. I hope he fucking dies so his kids have to grow up fatherless and just reinforce that friggin' stereotype. Yeah. You stupid fuckface.
Asshole.
I'm sorry. I'm getting a little angry.
His face is getting a little red.
But back we were saying about Hannibal Buress' joke, how he was saying, like, Bill Cosby, as much as he is, probably just a crotchety old man, I mean, he's encouraging black people to be better. And it seems that Hannibal Buress, which is a black guy, is condemning that. And it's like not cool to want to not be a thug piece of shit for some reason.
Well, it's funny you say that, Christian, because another black guy that I really like, there's not a whole lot of them. Because I'm white and everything. Yeah. I like Charles Barkley. I think he's funny. I like he does sports commentary from time to time since he's a retired athlete. I like him,
and he speaks the truth.
And like he was talking about all those fat chicks in San Antonio.
I got some big old women down there in San Antonio. Let me tell you something. They like their southern cooking down there. They got some big old women, and I will not apologize for this.
That's terrible.
I'm not going to stop having fun on TV.
Yeah, so Charles Barkley, he's receiving a lot of heat from social media and other places. We're gonna play the clip after I stop stuttering. Yeah, he says, "We are brainwashed to think if you are not a thug or an idiot, you're not black enough." Now this has all come in the wake of the Russell Wilson thing. So one of his black teammates accused him of not being black enough because he's well spoken. He's not.
He enunciates.
Yeah, he doesn't carry the thug persona in air quotes. He just seems like a regular guy, and he's an extremely talented athlete. But one of his black teammates accused him of not being black enough.
Yeah, and this is what Charles
Barkley didn't like it, and we're going to find out why.
For those people listening, Mike Freeman wrote a piece about Russell Wilson where he quoted unnamed players saying he wasn't black enough, that he was too much of a company guy and that sort of thing. Now, Mike disagreed with the statement, but some of the players said that. Is that the same case where, why would you hate Russell Wilson?
Well, unfortunately, as I tell my white friends, we as black people, we're never going to be successful, not because of you white people, because of other black people. When you're black, you have to deal with so much crap in your life from other black people. It's a dirty, dark secret. I'm glad it's coming out. It comes out every few years. I wrote a big chapter in my book about it, to be honest with you. I said, when young black kids, when they do well in school, the loser kids tell them, oh, you're acting white. The kids who speak intelligently,
right?
They tell them you're acting white. So it's a dirty, dark secret in the black community. One of the reasons we're never going to be successful as a whole because of other black people. And for some reason, we are brainwashed to think if you're not a thug or an idiot, you're not black enough. If you go to school, make good grades, speak intelligent, and don't break the law, you're not a good black person. And it's a dirty, dark secret, Anthony. I heard Stephen A. talking about it. listen, I hate to bring white people into our crap, but as a black person, we all go through it when you're successful. It's like one of the reasons a lot of black players go broke is because when you're successful, your friends say, "Oh, you ain't cool, you ain't down with us anymore," and you end up giving up all your money to these damn losers, and you end up broke again.
Yeah.
But it's a dirty, dark secret in the black community that a lot of black people who are unintelligent, who don't have a success, it's best to knock a successful black person down because they're intelligent, they speak well, they do well in school, and they're successful. And they don't. I mean, think about it.
Well, it's crabs in a barrel, right?
It's crabs in a barrel, and it's the thing that's funny. We're the only race that tell people if you don't have street cred, which like that means you've been arrested.
Right.
Like that's a compliment. We're the only ethnic group who say, "Hey, if you go to jail, it gives you street cred." It's just typical BS that goes on when you're black, man. Don't waste a lot of time on it, please.
Now,
all right.
Please.
As a privileged white guy,
Shut
has
up.
everything. I should be shutting up.
You should be shutting your yap. You don't know what it's like.
But how could you even argue? There's not. I mean, first of all, he didn't really say anything that provocative because I feel like that's kind of true of all race. It's not like a race issue. It's the first part. The last part might be a black exclusive thing, but how. In life, everyone always tells you don't hang out with those assholes. You're not going to go anywhere if you and they try to people that aren't doing shit like the bums and losers when you were growing up were the ones that are always trying to tell you to
bring you down.
Yeah, they're trying to bring you down and when you wanted to be successful. And I mean, Charles Barkley is an example of a guy who came from humble beginnings. He wasn't a privileged black guy.
Yeah,
he was from the South.
Well, that's an oxymoron.
Oh yeah,
Privileged black guy.
It's crazy.
Come on, grow up.
Grow up. Come on, grow up.
That's what this episode is going to be called. Is come on, grow up.
And I mean, he's really. I mean, why aren't people like black kids instead of just getting mad at Whitey, which they may or may not be? I don't know if that's really happening. But look at guys like Charles Barkley. He's black. He acts black.
That's what I mean. He doesn't. He's not like. He's not like. Oh, you see, Anthony Gargano. The problem with these kids is they use the slang talk.
Yeah,
and then I was listening to sports talk radio the other morning, and they were talking about this. And I can't remember the two athletes, but two black football players. They were saying basically the same thing. They're like, you know. It's like this thing where they, you know, it's like this, you know, there's these people want you to be like a thug. They want you to exemplify that lifestyle, even if that's not you. And it's like makes you inferior that, you know, you don't necessarily want to sound like an idiot or you don't want to pretend like you're some hard ass tough guy when when you're not or you don't want to be. It is bizarre, and it's. I don't want anyone to think that. You should never want to be a derelict. You know what I mean? You shouldn't want to be a friggin' criminal.
But I mean, that's how it works a lot of times in these bad neighborhoods. It's like it's all about the respect thing, which just irritates me so much. That's something that gangster black people and old gangster mafioso Italian people have in common. This like obsession with respect and insults and stuff like that, where it's like you scuff my shoe or you say the wrong thing, I'm gonna kill you over it.
Yeah.
It's like this obsession with demanding respect when you're all just shit anyway. And I don't mean all black people or all, you know, Italian people. Mafiosos. I just mean like they pride themselves on bad behavior. Yeah. Which is kind of and Charles Barkley, like we said, he acts like a traditionally culturally black guy. But the thing is, he's one of the true people that doesn't see race. Like if you watch him on TV and stuff, he's just a guy. Yeah, and he talks to black guys and
silly and like, you know, he makes jokes and like the whole big old woman. Like that's what I mean. He doesn't talk like an Uncle Tom, as it were. Yeah, you know what I mean. He's just some guy. He's just that's the best part about Charles Barkley. Yeah, he seems like just some guy. Yeah, he just happens to be a great basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, and he recognized that. I mean, in his age, that he grew up probably in some shitty situation, but now he realizes that it's. No one's holding anybody back anymore. Yeah. No one's like systematically oppressing you.
No, systematic.
Charles Barkley is the kind of guy that if he wasn't a gifted basketball player, he would have been successful somewhere else because he's just that kind of guy. It's not because everything worked out for him because he happened to be able to shoot some hoops pretty darn good. It was just, I mean, he just had the right work ethic for whatever reason. So it's not...
Well, yeah, he's just a better caliber of person.
And he recognized that I don't want to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so when these kids are telling me that I'm acting white because I'm trying to make something of myself, I'm going to say fuck off because I know what I'm doing is the right thing to do. So
and to speak more to your original point that this happens. This isn't even like a totally black thing. Now, like the street cred and the thug, whatever that is like a black thing. But the idea of you being brought down, like I got picked on for being a nerd. You know what I mean?
I pick on you for being a nerd all the time.
I know. Back in the day, you used to be like, "Oh, I'll give you a wedgie, you nerd."
Hey, nerd.
Yeah, nobody wants to see someone else be successful, especially when you're a talentless loser. You don't want to see someone fucking succeed. Yeah. So you try to drag them down. It's easier than coming up.
It's one of the oldest human traits where it's when someone's life sucks, for some reason feel the need to try to pull everyone else down to your level.
Yeah.
Which is sort of, it's interesting because that's happening, and we talked about it last week, how people, they don't want to rise to the occasion, they want to pull everybody else down. It's where people, now they're just creating these shitty situations, and they have to just try to blame somebody and pull someone down to make themselves feel better about it, which is happening now with guys, they're trying to pull down Charles Barkley instead of like, wow, he's right. It's like, why don't I try that?
Oh, wow.
Gee willikers.
Yeah.
He's making good points.
That's what I mean. And I don't understand how you could be mad at him for it.
Are people mad at him about this?
I think so.
Probably.
I think there was some backlash.
And once again,
if you can believe it.
I mean,
no, Charles Barkley won't apologize, and that's why he's a great American.
I'm going to keep having fun on TV.
And I'm going to keep telling black people the truth.
The truth.
Even if it's terrible.
Yeah, even if the truth may hurt, it may be terrible.
Sometimes the truth's going to hurt, but I'm not going to stop saying it. I'm going to keep having fun on TV.
God bless you, Charles Barkley.
Oh, thank you very much. But God bless you, too.
Did you throw a little Elvis into that?
Well, actually, that's the funny thing is a lot of people have said that Charles Barkley is the Elvis of the black community.
It is true. I've heard at least one guy say that, which was Ant.
Yeah, well, I'm a white guy, so you can take that right to the bank and they'll let you in.
Do you think anybody listened to what Charles Barkley just said, and it was a young kid in a shitty neighborhood that was maybe on the verge of falling in with a bad crowd? He's like, wow, Charles Barkley's right. Or do you think everyone was just like, what a dickhead.
What an Uncle Todd piece of shit.
Man, that dumb old bald nigga don't know shit, yo. Man, fuck that punk.
He is
probably what happened.
I mean, to be fair to that urban youth you just made up, he is an old bald nigga.
I mean, they make a good point.
I don't like what you're saying, but I respect it.
God damn it, I'll defer to the death of your right to say it.
And then, like I said, I was listening to talk radio, and there was two other, and I can't remember their names, but they were NFL players, and they were saying the same thing, that, yeah, they dealt with that, and they separated themselves from it. And the one guy even said that, you know, people within his own community were mad at him because he married a white chick. And they were saying how that made him less of a black guy because he happened to fall in love with a white girl.
Yeah.
Which, how could that ever happen in the world? Yeah, you're a rich dude. That dude probably slayed so much pussy. He got to pick whatever the best pussy was, and he happened to pick that one. You know what I mean? It's not like this guy wasn't a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like a broken record. Every week there's just a new story for us to talk about this faux oppression and this faux, someone is holding us down, and my black son will have to face all these injustices.
I think our generation is just jealous that the last generation squashed a lot of shit, and we don't have anything to fix.
Yeah,
they all want these causes because, like, the generation right before us, and even the one before that, they took care of a lot of big problems.
They had a lot of real issues.
World wars, actual civil rights movements. Women coming up. They fixed a lot of shit before we came around, and now we're bored and we're jealous, and we need something to do.
We're just looking for something to complain about.
Yep.
I mean, people could debate this, but really, I'm just going to say you're wrong. After gay people can get married in every state in America, there are no civil rights left to fight for. There's not. Everybody is covered after that.
Yeah.
Everyone is cool.
You're allowed to do
clowns.
whatever you want.
Yeah, the clowns. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Ant, I really think you're saying something like there's nothing left to fight for, so people are just creating stuff.
Yep. And I mean, and what they're doing is they're taking small injustice and trying to frame it as large injustice.
Yeah.
So they look at a black person who was met with racism, and maybe they were held down by, maybe they were wrongfully convicted of a crime or something. They take that, and what they do is they frame it up to be large scale injustice, when really this is one guy's experience, when you have all these other people who have their own unique experiences, some of them good and some of them not good. It's, that's life. Some people just get a shitty deal and there's nothing you can do about it. You're born untalented, or you're born in a broken home. That kind of shit is going to happen, and you can't fix it. So what they do is they take these isolated instances and they say, "You see what's happening? You see what's happening in the world? We need to change now." You know what I mean? And that's all they're doing. It's fucking nonsense.
And then the worst part is, I understand some people are products of their environment. And you're born stuck in these situations. You're born into a parentless household, and you're in the ghetto, and you learn from street people and gangs and shit. But other people, which is predominantly guys like this guilty white guy who's probably thinks Charles Barkley is completely wrong for what he said. Charles Barkley is one of the few people who's, I think, it really is a positive influence. He has a good message to teach people because he's a very logical, honest guy, and people need to hear it. But I mean, kids maybe that are, like I said, that are in these shitty situations might just not even think about it and brush it off immediately, but there's a chance that it might affect somebody. But all these other people that probably aren't in the situation he's talking about anyway are just trying to shut him down. Because, I mean, they just... what the problem is with these people with these causes, progressive nonsense? They believe all people, regardless of their situation, are good. Yeah. And they're honest, and they're not bad, and it's wrong. It's not the case. Like, some people, when you're born into a shitty situation and everyone around you is an asshole, you're going to be an asshole too, for the most likely. Yeah. And they don't want to believe that. They think that if they just open a door and let anybody inside, everyone's going to be honest and be a contributing member if they're just given the chance, and it's wrong. Yeah. Some people are just shitty. And just the thought that of trying to silence and complain and mock someone like with Charles Barkley, who's he's not like some lame ass old guy like Bill Cosby who's past his prime. Like, he's a pretty cool guy, right? Someone that's worth listening to, but he's just treated like an asshole. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's got to be that way, and it's just, I can't believe, like, you have the white apologists, and then I feel like, and I don't know, I feel like there's a big problem with denial in this issue, and the civil, it's like, it goes back to what you said, there's like a denial in the community that these bad people don't exist, and that I don't understand how, like, they people, you got these racist ass white people who will only quote crime statistics and not think about what they mean, right? Okay, and then you've got people, black people and white apologists that will sit there and act like there's not gang activity, there's not bad people out there doing bad things, and it's crazy. It's like nauseating to think about that you could just turn a blind eye to all this bad stuff happening in your own fucking backyard. You don't want to fix these problems, or do you really think the only way to solve them is to ruin other people's lives? Yeah, I really think that's what it is, because we talk about the white racist people that just quote all these statistics. They're not wrong technically; those statistics are real, but they're not saying why. And a lot of people say, "Well, I think it's just part of their culture." And that's not true at all. Not 100%, but I mean, there is. I mean, like Charles Barkley said, this thug culture, like that. There's almost like an encouragement to behave this way. So that's only a part of it. It's a very complex issue, and everyone. No, it's not, Christian. It's very black and white. No pun intended. Oh, right. I'm just wrong again. Christian is wrong. .com. just everything I
That's
say.
all it comes down to. Is that's the other half of it. There's this denial aspect, and then there's this oversimplification aspect where dumb people think they can solve the world's problems. It's like if we have really, really smart people who can't figure this out.
Right.
They're trying, and they haven't figured it out yet. What makes you, goddamn Friola at McDonald's, think that you can fucking fix the world's problems? You shut up and fill my order.
You know what I think the first step in the right direction is?
What?
Is white people saying to black people, yes, white people were very shitty to black people
At some point
in America. And I wish black people would say, yes, there is a problem with violence and broken homes currently in a lot of predominantly black neighborhoods. They could admit these things, and then it's like, all right, now that we've done it, let's try to figure out. Let's fix it. But no one wants to admit it, they want to blame the wrong thing. It's like we could just admit no one knows why it's happening, but let's admit that there's a problem.
Yeah,
and they don't want to admit it. They just say, no, there's not a problem. It's white people are keeping us down, or it's white people just like, black people are just no good, and they can't be helped. It's like, no, they just recognize that there's a problem and it needs to be fixed, but no one wants to do that.
That's the only truth, and you know this is, in my opinion, this is irrefutable, which isn't worth much because it's an opinion. We're only going to move forward together. Like you said, if white people would admit, all right, we fucked up at some point, but we're not doing it anymore, so there's that. And
believe that, because it's black people listening, it's the truth.
I swear.
I admit, as a guy who happens to be, was born a white guy, in the past, white people fucked up and did bad stuff to black people. It is not happening anymore. It's not. Well, on a grand level.
Not only that, like, I really don't have any ties to this. My ancestors came over in the wake of World War II. While people were fighting the civil rights movement, my family was trying to figure out how to speak English. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really removed from your problems, but I accept that there were problems at some point, and let's move. You can only move forward together. Either we're going to work together and fix this, or we can keep having this fucking conversation every year.
Yeah.
And it's my boss taught me, like, he's got this way of thinking at work. It's like, he's like, sometimes it almost doesn't matter what the problem is or what, who's going to come up with the solution. It just has to be done. Like, if we're in a crunch mode and like we're behind the 8 ball, we have a deadline. He's like, listen, I don't care what the problem was or where it came from. It needs to get fixed, and I don't care who solves it. We're all going to work together, and we're going to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
There's no finger pointing. It's just, everybody's just got, all right, we all get together, sit down in a room. How are we going to fix this thing? And I think you got to take the same approach to all these problems in the world. This racial nonsense that's going on, and anything else you want to. All right, everybody get together. We need to figure out what's going on, and then come up with some plan to fix it. And it can't be your fault or his fault or my fault. It's just figure it out. Our fault.
All you need to know, and like we said in the situation, one, white people at one point in time were very shitty to black people, and right now in America, it seems that there's a lot of bad shit happening in black neighborhoods. If we could all just admit that these things are happening, who even cares after that? Like, who saw?
That's what I mean. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's over, most of it. Like, all the stuff that happened has already happened. So there's this giant chunk of time. It's called the future, and we're not there yet.
Never heard of it.
And nothing bad has happened yet. That's the best part about the future, is that in the future, so far, nothing bad has happened yet. So there's time to fix it. If you just move it all in the right direction, we don't need to keep having this fucking conversation every week.
Yeah.
We don't need to have a goddamn news story every week about some white guy saying the N-word. Sure, he's a prick. Move forward.
We all agree with it.
We all everybody. Me, all three of us at this table, and probably 99% of the world thinks that guy's a prick. Moving on.
It's like this. It's like, imagine if a car, it's like a white guy and a black guy are driving a car, and the car breaks down, and they're both blaming each other why it happened, and they're sitting there not trying to fix the car.
Yep.
They just want the one of them to admit it's their fault.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they could have just been like, who gives a shit? Let's try to get this fucking car moving so we can get to the bar on time.
I know. We're trying to watch the game together because we're friends, even though we're of different races and we come from different backgrounds. But we're still friends. It's a sitcom.
Yeah. I think that it's the gridlock of we won't start trying to fix this until the other side admits they're wrong.
Yep.
It's all that this is what makes that pride thing not a race issue. It's a person thing. People are so obsessed with being right and having someone kissing their ring and on their knees and saying you were right and I was wrong.
Yeah.
When it's like, who cares?
Yep.
Let's just fix this thing.
That's what I mean. We have this. We have the potential to put this to bed. And maybe, we could be the generation to do it. Because like I said, I think once a lot of these old friggin' bastards die and their twisted ways dies with them, I think we're really in a good position to where we could be the generation that just says, all right, listen, I'm done with it. Let's squash this shit and be done. And that's the thing. Remember when we were kids, that's how you did things. You got in a fist fight and you squashed it and you moved on. How many people did you fight that you're now friends with? Well, not you. You balloon. You're like a water balloon. No, but you know what I mean. Like you fight it out, and then it's like, all right, it doesn't matter. Let's just get past this. Now everybody's cool.
Friends. Let's move on.
I've been through that with one of our mutual friends, and we're cool now.
Yeah,
we hang out. We watch the Eagles together. It's cool. There was bad stuff that happened in the past between us. It's over, and nobody cares.
Right.
It's that simple. It can be done.
And did you realize at a point it's like, does it really matter if I ever admit I'm wrong, or if this guy ever admits he's wrong? He was wrong to me. It's you realize like we're just wasting time waiting for someone to make the move, apologizing or saying I was wrong. Where it's like, why don't we just forget about it and try to just fix it, and we can have a better time.
Well, that's exactly what happened because. Something happened, and looking back, it was stupid, but it happened, and we were both mad about it. He felt that I was out of line. I felt that he was out of line, and we stopped talking over it. We just, all right, fuck you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. But like I said, at some point, I don't even know how it happened. Like, I think something happened that we both, like, we were connected by some event, and we just got to talking, and we didn't even address it. We were just cool. Like, I think it was like an understood thing that, like, this is over. It doesn't. None of this matters.
What we were
Let's
fighting
just be cool.
over was stupid. Let's move on.
It was stupid then, and it's even more stupid now.
Yeah.
It's less. It was probably less than stupid at that point because like I don't even hardly remember what it was even about. I just know I'm pissed at you.
Yeah, Dick Tracy.
Dick hump. Even more Dick than Tracy, and more hump than Bogart. That's what I said.
But I think that's the only solution.
I really wish we had stopped the show when you said the thing about the future. I thought it was very intelligent and insightful, but then we just said more stuff, and maybe it kind of diluted the message.
Well, then why don't we
cut this all out?
Yeah, why don't we just we'll fix this in
We'll
post.
just put the contact information.
I think we should just get to the contact information before we just take away from the good stuff we got done here today in this meeting.